All right, everybody. Welcome back to another video here on Marvel Strike Force here on Saturday. Battle World has officially ended. Here are my 100 Null shards and my 168,000 Battle World credits. That was a little bit more than I expected, actually, but I guess that's the combination of hitting the 12 million maximum plus, I guess, the individual Null payouts. I want to do a little bit of a recap. I want to just talk about Battle World from start to finish, my thoughts on that. And honestly, I'm going to preface this with, it's not going to be a complete doomsday video. I want to talk about some things that I think that they could improve upon going forward if they so choose to do so. Honestly, I'm not sure if by the time this comes back in a month's time, whether or not it's going to be exactly the same. I hope not. I hope there's a little bit of a learning experience from this. And I want to talk about some things that I, would like to see. I know whether or not they make any adjustments, that's entirely up to them. Now, before we get to the rest of the video, though, I do want to give a quick word from the sponsor of today's video. Hey everybody, have you played Raid Shadow Legends yet? Because if not, maybe you should. What if I told you that you can get 2 legendary champions and 2 epic champions to start your journey absolutely free? All you have to do is download with my link and log in for 7 days, and Alice the Wanderer is yours. You can also use the promo code Monkey King at the start of your account for a free Sun Wukong. Not to mention that this game has absolutely amazing visuals. You can play Raid Shadow Legends both on PC or on mobile devices, whatever suits your fancy. And also right now, there is this amazing event going called it's basically an Alice in Wonderland event, as you can see on screen here, featuring Alice, but tons of other characters from that as well. This is going to be a event that's going to be running until, I believe, March or so, and then you can get yourself a free Alice the Wanderer for just logging in and playing for 7 days, and you'll get her unlocked, a free legendary character to start your journey. And whether you're into PvE, killing some massive, dungeon bosses, or whether you're into PvP and you like to go toe-to-toe with your enemy, there's honestly something for everyone in Raid Shadow Legends. I'm showing you this from my account actually here. There's just so much content in Raid that you'll never get bored, and I'm having an absolute blast with this, and that's why I want to share this with you guys. And now is an even better time to start Raid Shadow Legends, because if you download using the QR code in the top right hand of the screen or in the description down below, then you will get yourself a free epic Rector Drath, who is a great support character for Raid, alongside the other resources that you can see on the screen here, as well as an epic champion Ugo at account level 15 as well, who I am still using in my game today. So amazing characters that you'll get absolutely for free. So what are you waiting for? Download now, join me in this experience in Raid Shadow Legends. I am having an absolute blast, and I would love nothing more than to share this with you guys. And if you do download the game, don't forget to check out the Boilon Raid YouTube channel, which you will find a link in the description down below. You'll be absolutely helping support me and this channel as well, and get some great tips for the start of your game. So what are you waiting for? All right, so where am I at? I'm 137 out of 180 Null shards. So if you were, I think, if you were in D4 and you got the maximum this time around, and you were able to now proceed to D5 for next month, then I think that you'll be able to unlock Null. Obviously, if you're starting at D5 and you do that twice, then yeah, obviously that's 200 shards. I think the 75 from D4 plus 100 from D5 next month, or next time this comes around, if it is in a month, then you should be able to unlock Null, and there's going to be a large portion of us, I suppose, to some degree, probably the top 3% of players, maybe something like that, are going to have Null unlocked by this time next month, assuming that it's going to be a month's time. Now, I'm not going to talk about Null's kit. You guys probably saw my video from yesterday where I essentially did an auto fest of Astral when it comes to fighting Null. After that, I'll be honest, it didn't make a huge bit of difference. It made some, right? We went over my teams that I used for that, and realistically, the X-Men was not that good, but this one is pretty good. The Odin, Mephisto, Kahori, Black Knight, Thanos Endgame. This actually did pretty decently. Obviously not as good as Astral, but I would say the two of them combined did enough damage for my alliance to basically, we ended up with I believe like 7.5 kills, something like that, when we only really needed like 3, I think, to cap the 12 million payout. Okay, so let's just start there, and hopefully I can still click on it. Yeah, okay, siege has ended, so let's see what it shows. Null. Is this a new screen? I don't remember seeing this one before. Null's falling over. We got 7 kills and almost two-thirds towards 8. I was not even in the top 3 of contributors, but hey, I think I was maybe just below 3, so congratulations to my alliance members in the top 3. Full clear reward is here. So the 48,000 would be, oh, this is just the null rewards, right? And then so this, I find that a little bit low, but maybe that's just me. I didn't actually calculate the entire battle world this time around in terms of the purple ISOs. But you're going to see in my event video tomorrow that it seems that they've completely downgraded the amount of purple ISO and ions that are being delivered in the weekly events. So that's another concern about what their plans are for purple ions and ISOs going forward, when it seems that they're actually reducing the amount that we're gaining. So that's another topic of conversation, perhaps for a later time. Here is the siege overview, which you can see. So not everything was cleared. Bad on the people in my alliance, probably in zones 1 through 3, right? That it seems that not everything was cleared there, and I was number 2 in terms of total contributions in Battle World. And then there's the actual siege war. So 120k, I guess, plus the 48 that I got from Null gives me 168. So that makes sense there. This is pretty garbage though. It's like 10 orbs. It's not a lot, but anyways, that's just me. So, what was my experience with Battle World? Let's start from the beginning, right? So the zones. I didn't find zone 1 particularly compelling. I don't believe that was that hard. I did a video on it, right? We did it earlier on the week. It seemed, for me anyways, largely an auto. But what I will say is that the challenge was almost there. The difficulty was almost there, right? Like I could tell, like, I don't think I autoed it. I think you could auto it, but like I manualed it anyways. If it was a little bit harder, I could see it being a purely manual experience. The problem is, though, is that there is no higher difficulty than 5, and there is nothing that's eventually going to be tuned around level 105, right? So this is, I presume that most of this is tailored around level 100, because a lot of my characters didn't have over 100 that I was using for this. And by the time that next month rolls around, we are going to be at the stage where we'll be at level 105. And, a lot of people will be at that point gear 19. So 105, gear 19 at the very least, right? So, it should be a walk in the park if nothing has changed by next month. Now, I will talk about zones 2 and 3 a little bit. I think there was, which one was it? Is it, the enemies, right? Like, I don't remember. The city and villain. This one, I didn't find that hard, but I used Sinister 6 with Mysterio. I found that Mysterio was very helpful in this particular mission. The Herald mission, which one is this one? City and Hero. There was the big bat hit points on Ares. Aside from that, I don't think it was that challenging either. So maybe Zone 2 wasn't actually that bad. Astral or Extreme X-Men. I mean, this is basically it's them telling you to build Astral, right? Both for Null, the Null battle, and for the missions. It's just, I don't know. Was it possible to do with Extreme X-Men? Seems like a lot of heavy-handed enemies here on the nose, especially all these old man Logans, if you don't have Astral. But hey, that's just me. And then zone number 3. This is where things were a little bit interesting, I think. Was it this one, the Astral mission? Where was the one with Mephisto? No, it was... I heard it was only on difficulty 5. It was this one here, the Cosmic and Hero one. So they basically wanted you to use Odin, at least on difficulty 5, right? Because there's a Mephisto here. Did anyone actually get through this without using Mephisto on all 3, or sorry, without using Odin on all 3 waves here? Because, I mean, you basically wanted to hold your Odin special to clear the exhaust on Mephisto. Now, what I used was Odin, Groot and Rocket, actually, and Cosmic Hero. I think I used Invisible Woman, even, and some characters. But I mainly did it so that they would survive, new era stat characters that were surviving, to, for Odin to clear the rest. That's basically the job that I did there. It was getting there, right? Like, I could see this, if their stats were about 20% higher than this, like, it would have been an actual challenge where I would have to think about not only the characters that I brought in, but also the kill orders, things like that. Things that kind of is a little bit reminiscent of Dark Dimension. But I think if it's going to be a once a month event, they're keeping with that, they should make it challenging to the part where I have to do a little bit of thinking, right? And that's where I feel that Marvel Strike Force is brain dead right now, because largely 99% of the content right now has not required me to think. It's been, okay, do I have the characters at gear 19 level 100? Yes, I tick that box. Okay, I put them in there, and for the most part, I don't really have to think about what characters I'm attacking in what order. Like, there hasn't been any of that. Zone number 2, the Herald mission. This had some promise. It was a lot of enemies, but I feel like if there was like an infinite gauntlet or something where basically you could keep going. They were hard. They actually hit harder than this. So if they were bigger than this, and you could either decide to keep getting points, or you would kill Oath because you couldn't go on any longer and you had to end the match, that kind of thing, in order to clear it. So there's some variations of these things that if they wanted to put in the effort, that I could see this being a little bit better. It's just that, are they done? Right? Like, have they thrown in the towel in terms of creativity and innovation? And that's my biggest concern right now, is where is the development team at in terms of their desire to create meaningful content in Marvel Strike Force? Like, that's the real big concern here. Now, when it comes to Null itself, was it any fun? No. Did I have any expectations that it was going to be better than it was when it was in November, October? I don't know. I mean, at least the bugs were fixed, I think. Were there So there was one bug actually that remained. You guys remember the Kang bug? So when Kang did 3% of damage and it basically exceeded the damage cap, it still exists. As long as Kang goes first, I mean it's too late now, right? But as long as Kang goes first, he did like about 12 million damage, I believe, on difficulty 4. I saw a video of it. So that was still out there, that you could have used Kang to exceed the damage cap, would have done more on difficulty 5. So that was the only bug that I saw that was still there. I didn't hear or see anything related to any revive bugs or anything like that, or exceeding the damage cap outside of Kang, although that's still a little bit funny that they didn't manage to finish clearing up that one. It was just like in my video yesterday, right? Like, I largely put Astral on auto. And I think if most of your members had Astral and put them on auto, you would have walked away with a decent amount of kills, right? Like, my Astral, I think, did about 20%. And then some people in my alliance managed to get about 25% on their Astral. And so that's like 4 people essentially that could get 1 kill on Null, at least on D5, right? And that's without using any of my other teams. So unfortunately, I still feel that Null is brain dead content because I didn't really have to think. I could have done some manual input, but to be honest, like, the amount of difference that it would have made, I think, in the end would have been very minimal, right? Not very significantly. And there's no leaderboard rewards or season rewards in this case that really matters as to how much VP that my alliance gets over everyone else's. And so I have a little bit of concern about, when this comes back. Like, I don't see them changing Null, right? Because it'd be weird. I think it would be weird for them to just change this the next time it comes back. So what could they do? Well, I mean, I guess if they continue on with Battle World, then they could make the next one more compelling, right? The next boss more compelling. I guess that's the only way forward from here. But my concern is that the Battle World flop, especially from, a couple of months ago, that has really put a damper on things that we can expect in Marvel Strike Force at the player base level for PvE content. I think this whole debacle over the last few months has not been good for the community, has not been good for the morale. A lot of people are already losing interest in the game because there's just not a lot of meaningful content. 90% of the game is PvP based, and they decided to slash that as well with Alliance War. If you're not interested in Alliance War or Cosmic Crucible, what's really left for you in Marvel Strike Force? Not a whole lot. And that's kind of the realization that I'm slowly coming to, is that for me, who does prefer PvE based content, this was almost there. Almost there. What I would like to see, let's do some positivity, I suppose. 7 difficulties. Difficulty 6 and 7. I feel like we were almost there. I feel like if they added in difficulty 6 or 7, that was more future proofed. That is, say, difficulty 6 is kind of around 105 G19, and then difficulty 7 is G20, right? That it's very hard stuff. You might be able to challenge it, but it's going to be very hard. That's the kind of stuff that I want to see. We need stuff that we're not able to clear right away, stuff that we can work towards, because when you future proof PvE content, that allows you to build your own roster, it allows you to make slow progress, but at least see improvement in what you're doing. And that makes me happy when it comes to other games that I've played. No names mentioned, but you've probably seen it here in this video that I've been playing a lot of, because in that game, I'm actually able to make meaningful progress every day and week, and I'm seeing things get better. Right now, when PvE comes out in Marvel Strike Force, for the most part, I mean, you're able to clear it right away or pretty close to. Let's say Spotlight Raid 2 as an example, right? You know, where you're pretty much able to climb to the top, it's done, and it's not even been out a week, and it's already been conquered. And that's the problem. The other thing about when it comes to null shards and the Battle World difficulty selector that I do want to kind of raise is that if you were not in an alliance that took advantage of the Battle World difficulty climb, it is going to be very hard for you to unlock null in a reasonable time, because if it's only coming back once a month, that means you can only climb the next difficulty once every month, which actually puts you behind way more in the time frame than what it would if we had weekly Battle World, because then you'd be able to climb each difficulty every week, right? When it was before. But now you have to wait an entire month to climb to that next difficulty, meaning that there's a pretty big gap between the shards. I don't know if it shows it in this window here, but I know that difficulty 5 is 100 shards, difficulty 4 is 75 shards, and I forget what the other ones are. But for example, I have a friend who was not able to go from difficulty 4 to difficulty 5, and as a result, he is going to be 1 month behind on his null unlock, because the 75 shards again from next month is not going to get the unlock, right? And so, yeah, I think that that's a bit of a problem as well, that's worth discussing. I wouldn't mind seeing Battle World come back once every 2 weeks, just because we have so little content in Marvel Strike Force that I think anything is better than nothing at this point, right? I would like to see more PvE based content that to some degree, you know, requires some manual input. And it did to some extent, right? Like that for me anyways, Battle World had some manual input. Way more than it currently does right now. Right? My raids haven't launched yet, but you know, raids are just entirely a sim fest. You know, even when it first came out, I'm not sure how much manual input I even needed to do into the raids either. Honestly, I think that except for with maybe one lane before we had the raid team out, I think for the most part, it was on auto. Even Spotlight Raid 2, when it came out, was on auto. I don't remember really having to manually play that very much, and it's brand new content. It's absolutely insane the point that we're at in Marvel Strike Force, where there is nothing to actually play except for PvP. And if you're not interested that much in PvP, then there doesn't seem to be a game left here for Marvel Strike Force for you. And this is a fundamental problem that this game has, that it just is incapable. The developers are incapable, it seems, of creating reasonable. I'm not going to say necessarily the most challenging. I would like it to be challenging, but reasonable content that all types of players can have. Difficulty sliders, I think, is where it has to be, but they need to make that range. They need to future-proof the content so there is room to climb. Not that you're just releasing it and on day one that it is beaten, because then there is nothing to climb, there is nothing to aspire to, and there's no reason for me to increase the power on my roster other than to, in this case, wait for when Xavier comes out and get him unlocked and whatever the next Dark Dimension comes out. But when it relates to PvE based content, I feel that this game is brain dead. I can't remember the last time that I had to think about anything. Maybe it was Temporal Cataclysm, actually, which was before Christmas. And I did actually like the idea behind this, except for me, there wasn't any Karis to chase. It was just some frames in a leaderboard that I didn't really care about, but there was no actual tangible rewards, in my opinion, to convince me to try all the different difficulties. But I do think that they're on the right track, and that's something that we need to think about going forward. I hope and wish that they actually think about these things, because I honestly believe if the game does not improve when it comes to the PvE aspect of the game, they are going to lose more players, because the PvP alone isn't going to keep people here playing this. But that's just my thoughts. Let me know what yours are in the comments down below. I also want to thank Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video. Make sure to check it out using the link in the description down below. I do have a Raid Shadow Legends channel as well, and I'm having an amazing time there. That's going to be the end of this video, everyone. And if you like this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and you'll be greatly helping out the channel. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys on the next one.